Okay, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Less Known Classics. This episode number 1984 and Doubleshot number 1878. With this particular episode, we are 16 episodes away from episode number 2000. Now, this comic corner is the only I can do right now. I'll probably do the rest tomorrow. I've got about several lined up right now. But I really want to do just one more video tonight before I close up for tonight. Okay? First up it is Tales from the Dark Multiverse II. Yeah. The Dark Multiverse, this particular concept is this. Basically, the best way to describe this particular series of one-shots, it's similar to What If from Marvel Comics. That's the best way to describe this. What if the events transpired differently? And you're probably thinking, who the heck is this guy? This is Tempest Fugue. The best way to describe him is that he's DC's version of the Watcher. Yep, that's simply put what this guy's here for. Believe it or not, this guy first appeared in an issue of Sideways from the New Age of Heroes. Yeah, this guy only showed up just a few years ago, which is kind of odd. And I think he's supposed to be also dead. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. I believe he's a Scott Snyder creation. Yes. Now, these are basically takes on classic, well, at least some of them basically, some are like really classic, some are like really well-known source DC Comics over the years. This is basically a darker take on them. We have Batman Hush, a story that came out in 2000, I believe it was 2003, 2003 I think it was. Flashpoint, that came out in 2011. Wonder Woman War of the Gods, I believe this came out in 1991 originally. Crisis of the Infinite Earths, everybody knows this story. 1985, 1986, and of course Dark Knight Death Metal, which came out just 4 years ago, 2018. Now, in these takes, this book also contains the original stories in this one, where they're basically drawn from. Batman 619 is from the original Batman Hush story. The first issue of Flashpoint, Wonder Woman War of the Gods number 4, which was the conclusion of that I believe was the conclusion miniseries. And it was also concludes George Perez's run in the book. Crisis of the Earth number 12, also conclusion of that book. And Dark Knight Death Metal number 6, done by Scott Snyder. Each of these one-shots are done by various people. The Batman Hush one-shot is done by... Okay, now... This one's done by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Okay, you got a good choice here. Dexter Story, really good choice artist. The artwork is done. The cover art is done by De Marquez, Alejandro Sanchez. Yeah, that's just his cover art here. Now, in the world of Batman, this particular one shot. Now, Thomas Elliot is clearly the start of the story. And here's the thing: there are two people confirmed to be dead in the story, and that's Bruce Wayne. He's discovered. Apparently, he was sent to Arkham Asylum when Thomas Elliot took over, and apparently Jim Gordon was murdered. And here's the thing: apparently Gotham City is a city-state now, with Thomas Elliot being the senator from the city. He's also CEO of Wayne Enterprises, and he has Talia al Ghul as his girlfriend. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Dr. Jeremiah Arkham is still around. He basically is virtually unchanged. Arkham Asylum's got basically it's got Jarvis Tench singing, which is kind of weird. Yes. Now, also in the story, they also bring up the fact the president is, they mentioned President March. That's Lincoln March from Scott Snyder's Batman Night of the Owl story. Oh, Court of Owls. And also is Dick Grayson in the story. He's basically the Gray Sun. This was something that was explored during Night of Owls because it was mentioned in that story. Dick Grayson was actually originally supposed to be handed over to the Court of Owls, but that didn't happen. This reality, it did. The couple characters are nowhere to be seen in this particular alternate take. There is mention of Alfred, but he's not seen here. There's no mention of Tim Drake, surprisingly. Jason Todd apparently is working with Talia for some reason. Apparently, get this, Barbara Gordon is leading a rebellion against the corrupt state that apparently Thomas Elliot put the whole city in. Also, get this, Harvey Dent is the attorney. Harvey Dent is the Attorney General. Yes, seriously, Harvey Dent is the Attorney General. Yeah, and I'm thinking, really? Yeah, really. And apparently, like, one of the people here is apparently Duke Thomas. Yeah, and okay, this apparently is supposed to be Tim Drake, but he's got knives. And this woman with the cloak, that apparently is supposed to be Cassandra Cain, but we clearly can't tell it's Cassandra Cain. Oh yeah, Tim Drake is a star. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, here's Dick Grayson as the Gray Sun. Yeah, the Gray Sun. Yeah, sent by, of course. You mentioned also Captain GSF Captain Flass. Flass is Arnold Flass, who is from the Batman Year One story. He was a crooked cop in the story, and I believe he's usually depicted as Jim Gordon's first partner when he arrived in Gotham City, because he was transferred from Chicago. Apparently, he's the captain, and apparently, if I'm going to Oracle, instead of wearing that bat costume. Yeah, and Jason Todd's here. He works with, Talia. And apparently Batman is looking like this for some reason. Yeah. So you could say this is almost like what if basically a lot of different takes happen differently. Like, yeah. Now, yes, Thomas Hill is in the story, yes. But for some reason now, they also have where Thomas Hill disappears. And I think same with Alfred Pennyworth. Yeah, this was a really interesting take. Flashpoint. This is simple. What it basically, the whole story is focused on Barry Allen and Eobard Thawne instead of basically Barry Allen. But Barry Allen actually died in the story, and basically, like, what if Reverse Flash kind of took his role, and he basically is reluctantly work with him. He basically beats the crap out of 7 people in the story. Also, the story is written and drawn by Brian Hitch. You can tell that by, of course, the artwork. Yes, this is Brian Hitch's artwork. Yeah, and by the way, not the first time I've encountered basically Brian Hitch's writing artwork. I encountered this. It's actually the third time I encountered this. He also did Justice League America. I believe this was Volume 4. Not this was before that. And also the previous volume for Justice League. He did most of the first 30 issues. He actually skipped some issues. Yeah. But great story. Interesting take. I'm not really terrible. I like the Batman Hush one shot. War of the Gods. This one mostly kind of follows what happens in the original story. This one's done by Vita Alea. Yes, as in, I believe the most recent writer for New Mutants, with Eric Olivetti, who's a really good artist, which I got handed this artist for capturing the essence that was the awesomeness that was George Perez's artwork from the early 1990s. Great job here. For some reason in the book, apparently Wonder Woman becomes basically like the way she did during the witching hour during Just Like Dark, and she basically kills the superheroes. Also, we have Shayera. Those of you curious about this outfit, that's actually from the Hawkworld series. Yeah, that's where that's from. And of course, Shayera basically is there. Yep. And basically, so she kind of kills her own members of Justice League. And then we have Crisis on Earth's the ending. Happened differently. Well, mostly we have this other creature sent out to Earth 2. Yeah, the whole thing is sent out Earth 2 and a little bit of merging. So they kind of basically took the remains of all the remaining superheroes and they pretty much in a way merged them and kind of become the Justice Society of Earth. Plus, I love this take. Hey, look at this page here. This page is a clear homage to Justice Society of America, Volume 1 by Jeff Johns. Great job on the artist who did this. If you're curious, though, who actually did the writing artwork of this one-shot, this is actually done by Steve Orlando, and the artwork is done by the awesome as is Mike Perkins. I'm like, wow. No wonder this artwork is so good. It fits perfectly. The dark tones are fantastic. Just a really good one-shot. And basically, it kind of ends with you have Green Lantern becoming sort of a vampire, which is kind of weird. They have a dark take on something that just happened. Interesting note, this one was co-written by Scott Snyder, the guy who wrote the original story, which makes him the only person who previously worked in any of these stories he's one time based upon. to write the ultimate take. And he does it with Jackson Lasing and Colin Kelly, with Cara Mustard on the artwork. Cara Snow and Deb Marquez. Yeah, it's basically the same take, very similar take on Dark Knight Metal, just done a little differently per se. It's focused a lot on Duke Thomas. Yeah, it's focused on him a lot of the time, and it's different per se. And then we have the various issues that basically are similar to the original stories. This book, just pretty good. I will probably get my hands on Dark Multiverse 1, per se, but this book is just really good. I would say the one-shots, the Batman Hush one was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. Flashpoint was interesting to say the least. I like the artwork for it. Brian Hitch is definitely a good artist. Not the good when it comes to writing, surprisingly. War of the Gods was interesting. Christ and Earth was amazing. Dark Knight Metal, still just good, the original. I would probably say the weakest story of all of these is probably the Flashpoint one, sadly. But damn good stuff here. Though Flashpoint was more of a dark take on the multiverse itself, but it's interesting though that all these stories that Batman Hush takes from a lot of different stories, not just Batman Hush, but also apparently Court of Owls and a bunch of other stuff, which is kind of interesting. Next, we have another alternate universe that we have. This is kind of surprising. Injustice: Gods Among Us, Year 5 by Brian Buccellato. Yeah, this Year 5. This is actually the 5th of these Injustice: Gods Among Us comics. By the way, yes, I got these from all these. The thing with these comics are, these volumes, they're basically set a period of 1 year, mostly anyways. These series of series mostly just are there to help set up the events of the video game Injustice: Gods Among Us, surprisingly. Yes, now Brian Buccellato, like I said, does the writing here. The artwork is done by Mark S. Miller, Ian Camardo, Tom Durank, Bruno Rodino, and Julian Habran. The cover is done by David Yardin. Now you might be thinking, what the heck happened with this one? What does this one involve? Well, it's involved space, it's involved magic. Most of this one, this just what deals with, at first basically you have the rogues in Paris for reasons. Yeah. It's mostly just continuing the build up to the video game itself. That's most of what this book is. Sadly, the biggest thing that happens in this book is, well, basically Hawkman leaving Earth and dealing with the debut of Bizarro. Yeah. Of course, you do with Bane for some reason looks like this. Damien gets a new costume in this book. Joker is still deceased. He actually got killed at the start of this whole thing. Yeah. Yeah, and Batman's recovered from his break in the back that happened at the end of year 1. Yep. But you could say not really a lot happens over the course of the issues, but most of it focus on the villains per se. That's most of what it is. It's pretty decent for what it is, and you might be asking, Nick, are you planning to do any more than Just Gods Among Us? Yes. Yes, I am. I only got this because I like Just Gods Among Us, and here's a shocker. I have actually a video game, and I've beaten it. It's really fun. Though, confession, I played in the easy mode. But it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The only character I had a tough time battling the whole game was frickin' Deathstroke. He was by far the most toughest opponent. Because of the easy mode, Superman. Now here's the strange thing about the game. The one thing you never saw the entire game. And I thought this was so strange. Yeah, Batman versus Batman. Superman versus Superman. Wonder Woman versus Wonder Woman, Green Lantern versus Green Lantern. But here's a surprise. Oh yeah, they also did, in case you're curious, did they have Cyborg versus Cyborg? Yes, I did. One that surprisingly did not happen was Flash versus Flash. We never had that in the game. Which is interesting though, because Flash is there and you actually play him briefly in the game, which is I thought was kind of weird. But yeah. Really good stuff here. So that's going to be pretty much it for Stick Review. Stay tuned for tomorrow for more Comic Corps. Got 7 more to do. Along with more Go Ranger. Yep. Next video. Bye.